What if I told you that a woman who was enslaved had her husband and 4 children sold away from her at an auction, who, when freed at the age of 44, became one of the wealthiest businesswomen in the state of Colorado and spent her fortune searching for her lost family for 40 years? What if I told you that this same woman fed the hungry, housed the homeless, nursed the dying, and became so beloved that the miners called her the angel of the Rockies? This isn't just about survival. This is about a woman who turned unimaginable grief into unstoppable generosity, who built an empire in the Wild West just to find the children torn from her arms, and who proved that compassion can transform even the roughest frontier. Before I tell you the story of Clara Brown, the former enslaved woman who became not only a millionaire in the state of California, but also a humanitarian legend, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're building a community of truth tellers who refuse to let these extraordinary lives be forgotten. Personally, I couldn't imagine my family being stripped away from me like Sarah's was. However, I can only believe that my drive to find them would be similar to hers. However, be as forgiving as Clara was, in all transparency, I don't know if I could do that. Still, I want to believe that my own personal tragedy would not interfere with my willingness to help other people. Still, for a woman to search for 40 years shows a quality about someone that is rarely, if ever, seen. A few weeks ago, a dear family friend of ours, Miss Carol Chatman, sent me an article on social media about Miss Clara Brown. Upon reading it, I was blown away. This is a story that everyone needs to hear. So I contacted Carol and discussed doing the story at Unlocking Black History and asked if she would be okay if I acknowledged her for being the one that sparked my desire to tell Miss Clara Brown's story. Carol approved. So here we go. Clara Brown, remembered in history as the angel of the Rockies, began her life in circumstances as harsh as the American continent could offer. She was born enslaved in 1812 in Spotsylvania County, Virginia, on a tobacco plantation, like thousands of other Black people who entered the world already claimed as property. Nothing about the moment of her birth suggested that she would one day become the symbol of generosity, resilience, and moral courage in the American West. Yet, even in the earliest accounts of her life, there is an unmistakable thread of determination that would come to define her. Life under slavery allowed no true childhood. Clara's earliest memories revolved around labor, obedience, and the ever-present fear of being sold away. Plantation routines shaped her days, rising before dawn, preparing meals, cleaning, tending to younger children, and absorbing the unspoken rules needed to survive a system that permitted neither autonomy nor personal security. Still, Clara showed a unique, calm, and even-tempered disposition. She was known to be gentle with others, spiritual in character, and often the person enslaved children sought when frightened or hurt. In her youth, Clara married a fellow enslaved man named Richard, a union that existed only under the tenuous permissions of their owner. Together, they had 4 children, Richard, Margaret, Paulina Ann, and later a child whose name has not survived in historical documents. For a brief time, Clara experienced the fragile joy of family life within the violent constraints of bondage. She cooked meals for her children, sang them to sleep, taught them prayers, and held them close, knowing that any day could be their last together. But slavery's cruelty respected no human bonds, and Clara's life would soon be ruptured by one of the system's most devastating customs, the auction block. Clara was 35 years old when the plantation owner died, and his estate required the division and sale of his property. Families were split as casually as furniture and livestock. Clara tried desperately to stay near her children as the enslaved families were lined up and evaluated for sale. But pleas meant nothing. At auction, Clara watched in horror as her husband and all four of her children were sold to different buyers, each disappearing into an uncertain future. Her youngest daughter, Margaret, was just 10 years old when she was taken away, crying and reaching for her mother. For Clara, the moment was seared into her memory, a wound that she would spend the rest of her life trying to mend. Clara was purchased by a Kentucky family, the Browns, who brought her to the estate that would be her home for the next several decades. Although she performed her duties well, cooking, cleaning, laundry, and nursing, her heart remained fixed on the hope of finding her children again. Clara often spoke of them to others on the plantation, recalling their faces and voices in an effort to keep them alive in memory. Even in enslavement, Clara developed a reputation for kindness. She offered comfort to the sick, whispered prayers over the dying, and supported fellow enslaved people through grief, hunger, and loss. These acts of compassion foreshadowed the life she would later build, a life defined not by what she lost, but by what she had to give. In 1856, the Brown family who owned Sarah passed away, and Clara, then in her mid-40s, was formally granted her freedom, a rare occurrence for enslaved women of her era. Freedom offered relief, but it also thrust her into a world both uncertain and unforgiving. She had few resources, no land, and no trace of her scattered children. Hearing that many Black Americans had been taken west in the decades of expansion, Clara decided to travel towards the frontier. She accepted a job as a cook on a wagon train heading to Denver in the Colorado Territory, one of the few ways a lone Black woman could travel safely without charge. She worked tirelessly during the journey, cooking meals and tending livestock and nursing the sick travelers, earning the respect of the white settlers and laborers around her. The journey was long and dangerous. Clara endured punishing heat, dust storms, illness outbreaks, and the ever-present threat of violence that accompanied travel across the plains. But with each passing mile, she believed that she was drawing closer to finding her children. In 1859, after months on the trail, Clara arrived in the young, chaotic settlement of Denver, a place booming from the Pike's Peak gold rush. It was here that Clara Brown would transform from a formerly enslaved woman into a respected entrepreneur, community leader, and humanitarian. Now, if you're beginning to understand that this 47-year-old, formerly enslaved woman was about to build a business empire in the Wild West, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because what she did next is extraordinary. Denver and Central City were booming mining communities filled with prospectors, laborers, merchants, and gamblers. The territory was rough and often lawless, but opportunities existed for those with resilience. Clara wasted no time building a new life. She found work immediately, first doing laundry, then cooking for minors, cleaning houses, and selling baked goods. Her reputation for honesty and hard work spread quickly. Within a few years, Sarah has saved enough money to open her own laundry business, invest in real estate, and eventually build boarding houses for minors. By the standards of the time, Clara Brown became wealthy. She owned multiple properties, employed workers, and had investments across Central City and Denver. Some historians estimate her worth at the equivalent of over $1 million in today's money. In Colorado, she was a Black female millionaire and one of its wealthiest citizens, regardless of race. Yet, prosperity never made Clara forget her purpose. Everything she earned went not towards her personal comfort, but towards two causes. One, finding her lost family, and two, helping the poor, the sick, and the desperate of Colorado's mining towns. Clara became a cornerstone to the growing community. She cooked meals for those who were ill, housed strangers at no cost, and visited the dying so they would not pass from this world alone. Miners entrusted their valuables to her when leaving town, knowing her honesty was absolute. Churches welcomed her presence, and pioneers, Black and white, came to see her as a moral anchor in a rough and often unforgiving frontier. Clara rarely refused assistance to anyone in need. She paid rent for widows, purchased food for hungry miners, and supplied clothing for children regardless of race. She assisted formerly enslaved people after the Civil War. Clara helped newly freed Black Americans migrate west. She financed their travels, found jobs for them in mining towns, and helped them adjust to life as free citizens. Clara hosted prayer meetings in her home, contributed to churches, and offered spiritual comfort to people of all backgrounds. Many settlers died alone in the mining towns of Colorado. Sarah made it her duty to sit with the dying, pray with them, and ensure that they were buried with dignity. It was during this time she earned the name the Angel of the Rockies. The title was not bestowed lightly. It reflected the deep gratitude of thousands of settlers whose lives were touched by her generosity. Even as she established herself in Colorado, Clara never abandoned the hope of finding her children. For decades, she wrote letters to churches, freedmen's societies, government offices, and local officials in multiple states. She traveled across the country seeking information, and she offered rewards to anyone who could help provide leads. Clara visited the former slave markets, tracing every rumor where her children or her grandchildren might have been taken. The pursuit was exhausting, costly, and emotionally draining, yet she persisted with remarkable resilience. Her search was not entirely in vain. Over the years, Clara located information about her siblings and extended relatives. She helped many of them travel west, using her savings to assist them in starting new lives. But the search for her daughters, especially Margaret, the 10-year-old torn from her arms, remained painfully elusive. And then, in the late 1870s, nearly 4 decades after they were separated, Clara heard news that would alter her life. A letter from a friend in Kentucky suggested that her daughter Margaret, the little girl torn from her arms at the age of 10, might still be alive. The letter mentioned that Margaret had lived in Mississippi and possibly had children of her own. Determined, Clara undertook one more journey, traveling from Colorado back to Kentucky and then further south, tracing every lead. Finally, she had found what she had hoped for all her life: confirmation that her daughter had indeed survived adulthood. By the time Clara found her extended family, Margaret had passed away. But Clara reunited with her grandchildren, embracing them with the love of decades lost. The reunion was bittersweet, but for Clara, it fulfilled the mission that had driven her through nearly half a century of searching. In Clara's final decades, they were not marked by rest, but even greater service. She continued to invest in new settlers and to support Colorado's African American community. Her exceptional service eventually earned her recognition from Colorado's political leaders. In 1882, she was invited as honored guest to the Colorado Pioneer Association, an extraordinary tribute for a formerly enslaved Black woman in a white-dominated society. Clara spent her final years in Denver and Central City, surrounded by the community she had helped to build. When she passed away in 1885, newspapers across Colorado published tributes honoring her life. She was remembered not simply for her generosity, but for her extraordinary character, steadfast, hopeful, and compassion beyond measure. Clara Brown's life stands as one of the most inspiring stories of the American West. Born into a world that denied her autonomy, she transformed her suffering into a source of strength and empathy. The loss of her children, though devastating, ignited in her a lifelong mission to rebuild families, her own and those of countless strangers. She became a businesswoman in an area where Black American women faced extreme barriers, a philanthropist in a region where wealth often hardened hearts, and a humanitarian in towns where survival often eclipsed compassion. Her legacy continues today. Historical societies in Colorado honor her annually. Schools and community centers bear her name. Books, plays, and documentaries recount her extraordinary life. She is considered one of Colorado's earliest Black American pioneers, but her true memorial exists in the countless acts of kindness she performed in a land that desperately needed them. Clara Brown proved that compassion can redefine a frontier, that resilience can transform tragedy into purpose, and that even in the roughest of places, an angel can rise. Clara Brown had her husband and 4 children ripped away from her at a slave auction. She watched her 10-year-old daughter dragged away crying. And for the next 40 years, while building a business empire in the Wild West, she never stopped searching. When she finally found her grandchildren, her daughter had already died. But Clara didn't become bitter. She didn't hoard her wealth. Instead, she spent every dollar helping others, feeding minors, housing widows, nursing the dying, and bringing freed slaves west so they could start new lives. They called her the Angel of the Rockies because that's exactly what she was. Your children and grandchildren need to know while they're learning about white pioneers and gold miners, there was a Black woman who helped build Colorado, a formerly enslaved woman who became a millionaire and spent it all on love. If this story of grief transformed into generosity moved you, I need you to do something for me right now. First, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss these stories of extraordinary Black pioneers. Second, like this video and share it with your family. Ask them who built the American West and make sure that Clara Brown's name is in that answer. Third, leave a comment and help me teach the next generation. Now, answer these questions so others can learn. What would you do if your family was sold away from you at auction? Could you still help others experiencing that loss? How does Clara's compassion after such trauma inspire you? 2. Clara spent 40 years and her entire fortune searching for her children. What does that kind of love look like in your life? Who are you searching for, fighting for, and refusing to give up on? 3. When you think of pioneers of the American West, who comes to mind? Why haven't our children been taught about Clara Brown, Baby Mason, and other Black pioneers who built these cities? 4th, and this is crucial, read Aunt Clara Brown, Story of a Black Pioneer by Kathleen Bruin. Get the complete story of this remarkable woman's journey from slavery to success. You can find this book and our complete Black History Library at the link in the description and in the pinned comments below. These books preserve our pioneers' legacies. Don't just learn their names. Understand their sacrifices, honor their contributions, and pass down their stories. And thank you, Carol Chatman, for bringing Clara Brown's story to my attention. This is how we keep our history alive, by sharing it with each other. Don't let them erase Clara Brown's from the story of the American West. Don't let them teach our grandchildren about the frontier heroes without mentioning the angel of the Rockies. Subscribe, share, comment your answers, and build your library. I'll see you in the next video, and we'll continue to uncover other Black pioneers who changed the West and America. Take care.